Welcome back to Fight Capital, where we step into the ring of combat sports business. I'm your host, Ryan Rappaport. Today, I'm joined by combat sports analyst Dave Van Auken. Dave is the co-owner of Fight Bananas and the host of the Dave Van Auken Show. He's also an analyst for Gamebred Bareknuckle, and his deep dives into combat sports provides weekly fight predictions, breaking news, and exclusive insider information. Thanks for joining me, Dave. How are you and where are you joining from today?
Doing good, brother. Doing good, man. I need one of those like long business cards to like give out to people. That was a lot. That was a mouthful. That was good. I'm actually home. I'm not home. Daytona Beach, Florida. This is my studio. I'm around 15 miles from my lovely house, but it feels good to be home in my area code. I've been all over the place, different city, different state in the last 10 days. It seems like every day. So it feels good to be home. It feels good, brother. How are you, man? How's life?
Oh, life is good, man. Gearing up down here in Miami right now, but we're going to be on the road traveling all around the U.S. for the next couple months, and then
Nice.
probably back down here in Florida in the fall. We've turned into a bit of snowbirds ourselves, moving around, but we've been doing the mobile lifestyle for over a year now, so it's been great. So I know you guys have been busy with everything going on, obviously with Fight Bananas, the PFL, Gamebred. Could you just share a little bit about what sparked your passion into combat sports and how it led you to become an analyst and commentator?
Yeah, sure, brother. Wild story, I guess, a crazy story. So it started just like maybe everyone's of just a regular fan, right? Just a normal guy watching fights on their couch one day, just loving it. And I'm like talking about it with buddies and just normal people. And I'm like doing it so much. I'm like, I would love to do what I do and as a hobby and do so much time of it. I'm like, if I do this so much, why can't I do this and turn it into $1 at least? Why can't I just do something of it? And I think I can communicate a little bit. So I was like, let me try something. So started, actually had another podcast thing, didn't work out. And that original podcast got the first inklet into the world a little bit of Dean Toole. And that started the whole Fight Bananas thing. So Dean Toole had Fight Bananas. He had it on one of these shelves behind it, just on a shelf, sitting there, just waiting for someone like me to like take it and cultivate it and put water on it and love it and nature it. So that's what I did. I saw it had a lot of potential from the very beginning. I really did. And I probably put way too much time, way too much effort, and way too much love into it at the very beginning, but I did. And I was like, wait a second, like I started opening up a lot more doors than I thought very quickly, like very early, very quickly. I'm like, wait a second, this is working. Like this is starting to work. And a year went by and I'm like, I'm further along than I thought I was ever going to be, probably ever, right? And I'm like, this is working. And then 2 years went by and I'm like, no, now this is definitely working. We're starting to turn corners. We're starting to, generate something, some kind of revenue. We're starting to make waves. We're starting to make stuff happen. And then actually, you ready for this one? And I hate to say this because it was such a horrible time for so many people. COVID-19 happened. The pandemic happened. And for so many people, it was hard. It was horrific for so many people. But for us and for me, it was great. It was such a good time for MMA media and for myself personally for like what I do, because so many fighters wanted to communicate and they were so bored and nothing was going on. And then Dean Toole himself was actually doing a couple little things with mixed martial arts and he was making hay and him and I were connected. So it was just one of those things that like the whole world was stopped, but we kept on going. So maybe in the media landscape, I moved in a year where I probably would have moved 5 years in a normal landscape. And I really fast forward my career, if you want to say that. So in a weird way, the pandemic helped us a lot.
No, same thing. It's the pandemic for me was like one of the fastest growth times of my life. Yeah. And with everything that was going on with the UFC and the PFL picking up slack and all of the other organizations worldwide, it was an odd time, but I definitely feel like combat sports really elevated and has continued to rise there. And Dean, obviously, anyone who knows combat sports knows that he's had a pretty massive impact on it, whether it's island fights or, there's a lot of shelves there, right? When you say that, can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with Dean and, how that kind of came back in that dynamic?
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of funny. The first time we ever met, it's funny. And literally, we just left each other from Las Vegas. I got a great picture. I'm literally about to post it. It's just one of those great relationships. Yeah, man, we literally clicked the very first time meeting each other. And he said it off. He's done shows and other podcasts. And he said the same thing about me that I will say about him. We're both just hustlers. We're both just grinders. We're both just entrepreneurs. We just both love to work. We love to work in the dark. We love both just to work when no one else is working, and that's just who we just are as people, right? So we just both just have this, just this grit in us, and we just kind of we click. So when we just first met, we love fighting, and we love just kind of just trying to make money. And we're like, hey, how can we do this thing together? So the Fight Bananas thing happened. He had this kind of MMA media outlet kind of on the shelf, and he's like, hey, Dave, if you want to run it, run it. So like I said, it was doing nothing. He's like, let's write articles. And at the time, like I said, it didn't have any media content. It didn't have a podcast. So I created the podcast. And it had nothing. And one thing he's always done, he's like, Dave, it's your baby. Like, do what you want with it. I trust you. I do love and he always loves this for me. Like, I can take constructive criticism. If he kind of sees from afar, hey, I wouldn't do that, or maybe switch that C around, or maybe push this way, I'll definitely will listen. But, we've got like 5 shows under our banner. We have multiple UFC fighters that are doing shows under our banner. And we have a betting show, like you said, Ben and Bananas, that's doing really, really well under our banners. And it's great that we've had multiple different, it's crazy when I tell people some of the things that we've got so close of almost doing, and we've turned left, and it would probably blow people's minds. Some of the deals we've said no to, because we like kind of being the little engine that could. We're waiting for the right deal. We're not just waiting for a deal. A lot of people would just say yes to a deal. That's not us. We're waiting for the right deal. And so, yeah, we just keep doing. But, yeah, we're just, Dean and I, we just have a great relationship. We trust each other. And, yeah, man, I owe a lot to that man. I really do. He's opened up a lot of doors for him. I always say it all the time. I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on this or not, but, like, I just say, bring me to the door and I'll knock it open. I will knock that door open. He will bring it to me and I'll knock it open, and we'll just, that's our relationship. We'll just keep on rolling.
Yeah, well, I mean, through Dean and all the work at Fight Bananas, you get to work with a pretty impressive crew of fighters. And I love your interviews. You just bring so much energy to that. I mean, can you talk a little bit about these people? Like, for example, the legendary Jorge Masvidal, who I can just tell you here in Miami, I've never seen anyone talk about an MMA fighter where these people can't name anyone else except Jorge, right? And just the love he gets. No one has anything bad to say about it, but you get to interact with that on a daily basis. Can you share some of those insights and stories that you have from working with him and other fighters?
All right, so just this past weekend, we're in Las Vegas. It's for the Gamebred Bareknuckle press conference. But this past weekend, there's 6 or 8 of us, and it's Masvidal, it's Dean Toole, it's a couple of his guys, it's a couple of our guys, and we're all together. We're together, and we're going to dinner together. We're going afterwards together. We're going to, beach clubs together, nightclubs together. And when I tell you, and I'm not joking you, there are NBA All-Stars. There are other MMA legends. There are NFL coaches. There's Bill Belichick out there. There are, we saw Wembanyama out there. Everyone stops for Jorge Masvidal. It is absolutely stunning. It's amazing. Everyone wants to shake his hand. Everyone wants to take pictures with them. He's so admired because I'll tell you that this is not even bullshitting. He's my boss, and I'm not saying this to say this. He is as real as it gets. He is who he is on camera and in front of the UFC press conferences and all that. That's who he is sitting at the bar and at the nightclub. He is the same exact person. There's just no on and off switch with Jorge. And I think that's why he's so connected to the masses. And that's why, like you said, down there in the 305, that's why the people love him so much, because he is as real as he gets. He connects with he's still the working man. He could sit on the Miami beach. He makes he's made the crazy amount of money in his fight career. He's good. He can literally just make it and be great. But he's still working. He wants to give back to the fighters, and with Gamebred Bareknuckle, he wants to give back to the fight industry, and he's doing great things. So, I have so much respect and admiration for Jorge Masvidal.
I was at a UFC 290, and who did that place have the top blow off of it when they had him out there? And though it wasn't the result that he probably wanted, man, you can just feel the love and afterwards. And that was, I think that's not once in a lifetime, but pretty close to it for as cool of an event as I've been to. And yeah, you mentioned Gamebred Bareknuckle, man. That's been really cool watching the evolution of that. One of my buddies, Alex Nicholson, was one of the first few fights on there, and just to see where it's even come to in like a short period of time in these past couple years. I mean, obviously working in that space, how do you see bare knuckle MMA and boxing fitting into this wider world of combat sports?
Okay, so I actually lost you for a second there, Ryan, but I heard the end of your question where I think Gamebred Bareknuckle is going to fit. You're right. I think it's going to be massive. Like, it's going to be huge. So we saw Bare Knuckle FC really jump into the scene multiple years ago. But Dean Toole, we'll bring his name up multiple times. He's thrown out Bare Knuckle MMA for years to me. He's like, there's just this. We all love mixed martial arts. There's a reason why the UFC is the hood ornament of combat sports. It's even surpassed boxing. There's nothing bigger. The UFC on a Saturday night, week after week after week. And then there's something I do agree with bare knuckle. There's something so real and blood and grit. There's something so just human about that. So now this is the mixture of both worlds. This is just like the combination of both of it. And then let's just be honest. I thought about it, and with the media being there for the press conference and us talking about with Jorge Masvidal, there's never been a promotion, right? You think of all of boxing, and we think of the UFC, and Dana White has turned into that. And Dana White now is he is like kind of the superstar. But Jorge Masvidal is the face. He is a superstar in his own right, and he is the leader of this promotion. So it's really cool to kind of think of like, wow, this promotion has a superstar. We have our guy to lead the way. It has amazing backing, amazing financial support. It's getting these huge main events. It's getting these great fighters. It's ready. Like, it's ready to take over. And when I tell you, I'm not allowed to speak on it. They tell us some of our game plans because I'm a part of it, and the travel that's coming up. The plans that they have for the rest of this year, and then the plans that they have for 2024, it's amazing. Like, it's ready. I know for a fact, and I'm you never want to talk down about another product to talk up about our product, and I won't do that. But you could just see of the arenas where Gamebred Bareknuckle are fighting in, and the locations where Gamebred Bareknuckle are fighting in, that just like tells you where we're at. It just tells you where they are at. And it's pretty big. The names that are coming through, I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. And I really do think there's going to be this niche that a lot of even where maybe Bare Knuckle FC fighters that are missing that grappling and wrestling landscape that they were good at. They worked on those traits and skills for a long time, and they're missing out. I think they're going to they're going to start to come over to Gamebred Bareknuckle and get back into that landscape. I think within 3 years it's going to be the second biggest organization in combat sports. I really think it's got that type of legs to it.
Yeah, well, we've seen the way that BKFC's taken off, and people like Mike Perry and everyone else from MMA who's coming to that, where like a Rockhold or an MVP might have more of an advantage when they can throw those kicks or do that grappling. Yes. So 100% I see that. Yeah.
And Ryan, real quick, if I could just say, and there's no disrespect towards the other thing, and I know it's going to come off this way, and if someone cuts this off, I know it's going to come off negative, but would Mike Perry, with connections and kinships and friendships with Jorge Masvidal and Dean Toole, would you rather fight, and would you rather get your hard-earned money and fight under this organization, and there's that kinship with, that you and the promoter have a bond with? the other organization you don't. Like, it's a weird thing that you can kind of go to war and the promoter has your back. I'm telling you, there's this and I've been hearing this from fighters too, that the promoter has your back in a way. Like he's trying to get you more money, where I'm not trying to say other promoters are not, but it's, they're trying to, I'm telling you, I think this Gamebred Bareknuckle MMA has got huge potential.
Yeah, well, now that the money's behind it too, because I think that's obviously one of the biggest issues with these promotions, right? Is they are usually very small teams doing a lot for very little, with a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. So it's really interesting to know that that's how this is progressing. And after the last events I saw, I'm really looking forward to seeing the evolution of it come September 8th, which will be awesome. And, obviously you yourself are so engulfed in this. How do you maintain your edge and continue to provide some of these accurate predictions like you are through Betting Bananas and all this analysis you're doing? There has to be something you're doing to stay tuned into the industry.
Well, it's like I never want to give anything too much away, but I probably hourly I'm talking to some type of fighter or trainer or someone that's in the gym. And they're not like giving anything away. They're not saying, oh, this guy has a busted knee or anything, but they're saying, hey, I've heard that Alexander Pantoja was going to win this fight for 3 months. I just heard this is the best training camp he's had. I heard it in the gym, how great he's looked. So just stuff like that. You just hear good things and bad things. And sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't, and stuff of that nature. It's just one of those things. It's, you just make phone calls, any type of life, relationships, anything. You just, you lean on people and you talk to people. And that's probably the best thing I do. I just, the longer I'm in this industry and the more people, you keep on making phone calls. And also the more you're in the industry, you also see things. You can see fake machismo, if that makes sense, or you see a guy's putting something on social media, then you're live in the hotel and you're like, oh, that's not good. Like, I'm not going to go too far on that angle, but I'm telling the more and more I'm there live and behind the scenes, and it's wild to say this out loud, but like it's pretty wild. Like you'll know a lot more live than you are, just in your couch in your living room, just seeing on fight day. It's pretty wild.
They got jets blasting over me here. Sorry if you hear that in the background.
Down there, the 305.
Oh man, they have not been joking around. I think I'm down in Key Largo right now, and I think they are practicing on some islands. They've been doing some crazy maneuvers down here, so it's cool to see. But pain in the ass when you're doing a podcast. But the good news is this stuff edits out all of the loud noises in the background. But Dave, I mean, with the evolution of the sport, with the evolution of your content, how can people come and continue to support you, whether it's like one of our readers through the newsletter that we put out or the podcast? Like, where are people going to find about you and your projects?
Well, yeah, we're super easy to find. Everything on Fight Bananas. So we have Instagram and Facebook. We have a website, Fight Bananas Official. My podcast, the Dave Van Auken Show, on all podcast platforms. You can subscribe. That's always great. People always say that, to like and share. You can do one of those comments. Those always helps. Anything like that is always great. Right now we have millions.co. We have all of our t-shirts. We're really getting, we have 3 t-shirts. We're starting to create a t-shirt lines with millions.co. That helps. It's one of those things. People buy a t-shirt. We get a little bit of back end. We're starting to travel a lot more. We have 3 or 4 media talents and that we're starting to, have them travel to different events. And I don't have to tell you, it's expensive for people to travel in 2023. So anytime we get 15, 20, 40 bucks here and there, we're starting to push people out and have them travel to them cover more events, and that gets us more content, and then that goes out. So it's just, right now we're just trying to get money in to get money out. We're just trying to build and churn content continuously. And anything like that, any places that they can, like our content, share our content, it helps. It goes a long way for sure.
Yeah, and I just had Liz Carmouche on last week, and she was talking about the millions.co relationship she has too. So it seems like they've been great resources for you and everyone else out in the market as well. It's great. I like what you're doing on there with Betting Bananas. We just had Liz Carmouche on last week, and we were talking about her evolution with Millions.co, and she spoke really highly of working with them and the platform, which was cool to see.
Yeah, so far it's been going really well. Like I think we're maybe 2 months in, so it's still young in the relationship, but so far it's going really, really well. And they, I think it's something that can become really big.
Yeah, well, looking forward to watching that and seeing that content keep churning out, because Fight Bananas is like one of the main ways, and I'm getting all those updates. So love that you guys keep doing that, and looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate it very much.
No, likewise. Thanks for doing it.
Awesome.